Greetings once again, everyone. Thanks for joining me for another edition of Electric Avenue's YouTube updates coming to you every week. This week we're in the middle of July 18th, 2025. I've been working on a list of my favorite albums so far this year, so that might pop up in the next week or so. So I may be presenting that. Today I'm just going to go through the new releases of the week. It's a kind of a light week, actually. We had a couple of big weeks around 4th of July. A lot of things came out. And now it's sort of like a little bit of a coast period until August. But there are still some good things out there. Remember all those great Rhino reissues last week came out for stores, all the Doors albums, all six of them. There were some reissues from television, from the Stooges, the Cars. The first album from the Cars got a really nice Rhino repressing. There was also we had Black Sabbath's Paranoid a couple weeks before that. That's selling out online quickly. Also, Billy Joel reissued the second half of his catalog, most of the second half. Got things like River of Dreams back on vinyl and Stormfront. Anyway, and there's a Billy Joel HBO documentary appearing soon. So there's a lot of things going on. Bruce Springsteen, this massive box set of 7, 8 unreleased albums, things he had sitting on a shelf for a long time. It actually was very popular, and so I just decided to keep one on hand just in case somebody wants it from time to time. They're not cheap, but there's a lot of good stuff in there. I can't believe some of the things he didn't release, and I've been listening a lot to the Streets of Philadelphia unreleased sessions, and I think, yeah, a lot of these songs kind of have similar, like, rhythmic kind of things, but it's a very kind of calming album in a way, and it kind of, like, gets to the root of the lyrics of the songs, and I think it's great. So, who knew? I mean, Bruce been working in secret, and if he doesn't want to release things, he didn't release them. So if you're a Bruce fan, maybe now's the time to investigate that. All right. And wow, what a Christmas gift or whatever that'd make. So let me get to this week's new releases and give you guys a little bit of what's what out there. A new album this week from Joe Bonamassa, blues guy, sort of crosses into just sort of mainstream rock too. It's not always strictly blues, but this is he's the number one selling blues artist right now on Billboard. A new studio album with all new original songs produced by Kevin Shirley. This is on crystal blue marble vinyl with a download card included. And it's not break the bank expensive at $25. So if you're into Joe Bonamassa, we'll have the CD as well. Another artist that I think is really resonating with his group of fans, and I get more and more requests for this artist all the time, is Alex G and his new album Headlights. I believe Alex is Philadelphia based or has roots in Philadelphia. Singer songwriter, and this is the exclusive metallic blue disc vinyl edition. He has many great albums. Early ones like Trick and Rocket sell consistently still, and his last album, God Save the Animals, did very well. Kind of a singer-songwriter in the vein of maybe like Elliott Smith type stuff, a little bit more, I don't know, maybe more kind of rough around the edges in some ways. It's hard to say. Elliott was very kind of tuned into like that Beatlesque thing at times. But anyway, Alex G, um, I think that's going to be very popular, actually. Another sort of band that, like, sort of in that Lumineers category that gets kind of talked about a lot and keeps putting out good albums, Lord Huron and their new record. This is called Cosmic Selector. and it features the singles "Nothing I Need," "Looking Back," "Bag of Bones," and "Watch Me Go." Um, this is a double vinyl edition. There's a parental advisory on it. There's a track that features Kristen Stewart, and I don't know if it's the same Kristen Stewart. I think it's maybe a different one. But this was not cheap. This is like 47, where the Alex G is 29. Now the Alex G is a single, and this is a double, but that's getting pretty high um, for sort of the amount of money that the record labels are looking for a double record. And this is what's sort of concerning me, is that all this talk of inflation again and stuff like that, we've already been through a lot of that with vinyl, and it's kind of at a point where it really shouldn't go further. And I don't know where it ends, so we'll see. But they got to be careful, because they're gonna price themselves out of sales. Bush and their new double album, also $43. I Beat Loneliness, and this is Gavin Rossdale. It's got the single "In the Land of Milk and Honey." The true icons of post grunge, stronger and better than ever. A 2 LP colored edition. Well, that's probably why. They tend to be a little more when they're color vinyl. But there is a new Gavin Rossdale interview with Billy Corgan on Billy's podcast channel on YouTube. You'll find it even. So that looks like an interesting interview. I just caught a few minutes of it, and it seemed pretty interesting. Billy's had a lot of interesting people on, and yes, Corey Haim. But Corey Feldman, sorry. Corey Haim's not alive. Corey Feldman. But there's been a lot of kind of interesting musicians that he's had on there. Dale Bosio was an interesting interview for Missing Persons. There's a few, so go check them out. Every day I see somebody new that he's got that I'm like, oh, that would be an interesting interview to watch. Just got to find the time. Styx. Tommy Shaw still keeping it alive. Styx and their new album, Circling from Above. This features Build and Destroy, King of Love, Everybody Raise a Glass on 180 gram black vinyl. I mean, they've been going since the 70s, so, and maybe even before that. I don't know exactly when they started. But Dennis DeYoung has not been with them for a long time. Laura Jane Grace and her new record. This is called Adventure Club on hot pink vinyl. Includes a free album download card. Kind of a funny, and also sort of scary, funny, scary, sort of cartoon cover here. There's a track called "Fuck You, Harry Potter." I don't know if it's so much Harry or if it's J.K. Rowling that's the problem, but anyway, Jade Bird and her new record, and this is called "Who Wants to Talk About Love?" Limited edition, cream vinyl with signed poster, and she's sort of an up-and-coming musician. Her last record did pretty well. She is on Glassnote, which is a fairly big kind of indie subsidiary type label. I'm going to set this down so I can get to the next group here. Jack Holtzman, and he's sort of a longtime folk and vision. It's an electro visionary founder. He really sort of pioneered a lot of the folk music of Elektra, and they've been doing Elektra 75th anniversary, which you probably saw a bunch if you watched last week's video for Rhino. Did a whole bunch of Elektra reissues. This is The Sound of a Generation captured on one special album overseen by the founder, featuring Bob Dylan, Fred Neil, Tom Paxton, Judy Collins, and more, celebrating the roots of the Greenwich Village folk music scene. So I see Gene Ritchie, Josh White, the Dillards. So we're going way back here. Phil Oakes, Tom Rush. But it's kind of a interesting treatise on sort of almost like a dissertation on early Dylan and the folk scene in the Greenwich area, Greenwich Village. All right, let's see. There are a couple of Blue Note classics that come out this week. Got reissued. These were mastered by Kevin Gray at Coherent Audio, who also did many of those Rhino, like Doors reissues I was talking about. Eddie Henderson's Heritage and Donald Byrd's Stepping Into Tomorrow. And both of these are great albums. Donald Byrd I've heard before. It's interesting. It's very good. This is sort of like a little bit later for Byrd, 1975, and the Eddie Henderson also 76. So we're going into 70s Blue Note here. Things that you probably find a little bit easier depending on how much they sold. So record store day. This year we had Sly and the Family Stone and their live album, Live at Winchester Cathedral, 1967. And here it is on a vinyl again. And this is just, I believe, a single vinyl. I don't know if the other one was a double or not. But this is a deluxe edition. Deluxe edition includes a lavish 24-page booklet with rare photos and an essay, a lacquer cut by Kevin Gray. The other version that came out for Record Store Day had this beautiful silver foil cover, gatefold jacket, and it was a color vinyl. So this one's a little more basic, but gets it out there in case you missed the last one. Right? Nick Cave and reissuing the Grinder Man CDs or series. Really, there's just two Grinder Man albums. This is a side project he did with Warren Ellis and other members of Bad Seeds and Friends and whatever. They tend to be a little bit kind of edgier, angrier, more raw than Bad Seeds records, particularly like right after this, when a lot of Nick's albums became more referencing his son's death, Arthur, who has now been gone for 10 years, if you can believe it. And Nick has done a lot of kind of quiet, slow albums reflecting on Arthur, but this was right before that era. He was kind of getting a little bit amped up. This one features the song No Pussy Blues. And so, yeah, this is kind of more post-punk type stuff. And then the other one that he did in this, like right after that, Grinder Man 2. And this was a really great album, actually. Nick Cave, Warren Ellis, Martin Casey, Jim Sclavunos. And I love the artwork there with and it's got that kind of nice embossed blue for the song titles here and the cover. Really cool. And then there was actually a third Grinder Man piece, which was the remix album for the second Grinder Man. And this featured, it says remixes from Andrew Etherall, and I thought it is Andrew Weatherall. So the hype sticker is wrong because there should be a W before the Weatherall, and the guy's died and he can't even defend himself. So that sucks. Matt Berninger did a remix. Uncle. Robert Fripp did a remix. Cat's Eyes. Josh Homme of Queens of the Stone Age. Nick Zinner of Yeah Yeah Yeahs. Factory Floor. So it's kind of a more extensive. Barry Adamson did a remix. He'd actually been a member of the Bad Seeds for a while. Place to Bury Strangers is on there. All right, and then also we get a reissue of the Clutch self-titled album, and this is an audiophile version, 2 LP limited edition, side 4 etching, artist autographed, numbered insert, and it's a 1995 self-titled, so they kind of redid the cover. Not cheap also. 2 LPs, $55, $56. But yeah, it's really one of kind of the stoner rock foundation type albums of the genre. So, and it's got the autograph in it, which is kind of nice. So anyway, Clutch, they really don't release records as fast as they used to. So I don't know what's going on there. Maybe they're on some sort of hiatus. Maybe someone can tell me. Fallout Boy, this is From Under the Cork Tree. You're like, well, this is not a new release. This has been out for a while. It has. It's been a double vinyl for a really long time. This is a single vinyl edition. So they've kind of factored it down to one record because they figured, well, it will fit on one. There's less flipping to do, and it can bring the price down. So the price of this is $30 as compared to like 45 for the double. So a little more affordable. I see Universal slash Island doing this with some of their other artists too. I saw Cranberries are reissuing the second album, the No Need to Argue album, one with Zombie on it, also as a single record for like a $30 ish price point instead of being $45 also. So I think that's good in a way. It's good and bad. It's bad because the audio fidelity might not be quite as good because the songs are a little more compressed in the grooves. It's good from a financial standpoint because it doesn't break the bank trying to buy these records. It'll make them a little more attractive to people. So there's kind of a mixed thing on that. But again, if inflation kind of runs away, then that kind of messes the whole process up. So, and also you have more flipping to do, obviously, if you have a record that's split into four sides as opposed to just two. So, depends on how lazy you are getting up and going over to the turntable, right? Toy Story and the songs from Randy Newman. So what they've done is taken all of the Randy Newman songs and put them on one record. So in effect, it is like a sort of a Randy Newman record here, but it has other people singing on a couple of them. So Sarah McLachlan does When She Loved Me. Oh my God, that song. If anybody ever asks, like, what song will make you cry just because it's just that sad, that song is, for some reason, is like the saddest song I think I've ever heard. Woody's Roundup is performed by Riders in the Sky. You've Got a Friend in Me is by the Gypsy Kings here. But also there's the Randy Newman version also. So you get both. And you also get the Ballad of the Lonesome Cowboy from Chris Stapleton from Toy Story 4. So, but there's songs from every movie. It's kind of cool to have them all in one place. If you're sort of a fan of Randy Newman, that sort of makes sense. This actually came out last week, I think, and we kind of missed it, but back in stock here. Cluster with Cluster 2. Cluster, sort of a German avant-garde, sort of artistic, somewhat electronic, but also sort of kind of like a innovative band duo. It's sort of like Stereolab kind of took some cues from this. Brian Eno worked with them some. This is Mobius and Rodelius with Connie Plank from Can, sort of on this one. So if you're into that sort of krautrock stuff. And we also, in that sort of genre, a little more jazzy, Sun Ra and a reissue of the album Sleeping Beauty. This was one he did in the later 1970s. And I think it's only like 3 tracks, but this was reissued by Strut Records, so more of a hip-hop label. But anyway, Sun Ra, an interesting Sun Ra. You don't see it every day. All right, and then one CD I came up with that some of these are available on CDs. Obviously, the Joe Bonamassa, the Alex G. Scissor Sisters put out a deluxe CD of their debut record, and the vinyl is available. If anybody really wants it, just let me know. It runs about $45 for a double record, but the CD looked really interesting because it's 3 CDs, not just 2 but 3. The first disc is all the album. The second disc are all B-sides or rarities. It looks like there's about 15 songs there. And the last song is their cover of Franz Ferdinand's Take Me Out, which was a hit at the time that this came out. And their version's actually very good as well. And then the third disc is all remixes. So people from Fatboy Slim, Hot Chip, people who were sort of popular at the time that this record came out. Tommy Sunshine. Anyway, really great album. If you guys have never heard the Scissor Sisters remake of Comfortably Numb, the Pink Floyd song, I highly recommend you at least listen to this somewhere. Look for Comfortably Numb. It's kind of like if the Bee Gees did Comfortably Numb. Maybe I should be reviewing that album next. It is a great album. So I was like, well, what do I review this week? And I kind of was thinking a lot about what's going on in America lately and sort of like reflecting on things, reflecting on our place in the world right now and how we're seen and sort of like how America sort of has been treating its own people lately and things like this. And I come across or a review somewhere of it was on Pitchfork. They did a good review of Tori Amos' Boys for Pele, her third solo album, if you don't count the early stuff, where she sort of took control of stuff. So I decided I'm going to review a little bit here, or recommend, more of a recommend, Scarlet's Walk, which is Tori's seventh album. Tori was just a name that she chose that she liked because her real name was Myra. And her parents, her dad was a Methodist minister, and her mom was a native Cherokee background. And so she had these two kind of sides that she's always trying to reconcile. She is a rape survivor. She has a lot of sort of like musicality. She went to Peabody in Baltimore. She was the youngest person ever at the time admitted. I think she was 5 years old and could play lots of things by ear, and she's quite a talent. And then obviously was sort of dismissed at some point, early teens, for wanting to do too much of what she wanted to do and not doing the classical curriculum, and started a whole career by playing in gay piano bars in the Baltimore area. Her dad would take her to those in like the late 70s, early 80s, to just get experience performing. And yeah, so her career sort of took off from that standpoint. I mean, she went to LA and tried to have a career there and kind of just fell into the wrong scene, and sort of broke out of it, and then became a great piano singer-songwriter afterwards. And her lyrics can tend to be pretty oblique, is the word I use. If you don't really understand what she's saying, it's not necessarily always the point. A lot of it is more about the imagery that she creates with the lyrics that she's talking about. But anyway, this was well into her career. This album was sort of a turning point for her. It came out in 2002, and I think she gets compared to Kate Bush a lot because I think a lot of her singing affectations, her sound, are very based on her love for Kate Bush, or whether or not she'll admit it, that she has a very similar sound, especially the few previous albums to this. And I think she also shares some commonalities with Prince in the sense that both of them worked for Warner Brothers for a really long time, and they kind of both at some point reached their own breaking points. And his first album away from Warner Brothers was Emancipation, which was on like Capitol or Virgin, one of those sort of more British based labels. And for me, it was like the last really great album of his that I enjoyed anyway, before he sort of started meandering into other territory. And so I wouldn't say that he didn't have any good albums after that. He did, but it was a little more varied and hit and miss for my taste. Same with her. I think that she sort of, this was her first album for Sony after leaving Atlantic. And it was a really great album. And then after this, it sort of became a little more hit and miss for me. That's not to say that she doesn't work with amazing artists. I know Matt Chamberlain, for one, is a really great drummer. She's had numerous people that she's worked with that have been quite good. So it's not really that. It's just sometimes the music doesn't always like speak to me. It has to be. I do really like her Christmas album, which I don't know if too many people would say that, but it's a lot of times she more interpolates Christmas songs instead of just doing straight ahead covers. But that being said, this featured her single, A Sort of Fairy Tale, which was a really pretty nice. It was a good radio song, and the thing is with her, all of her albums were really popular and sold really well. Her singles were not like major top 10 hits or anything like that. They got played a lot, but I think because she was kind of seen as like a little bit of an outsider, she wasn't willing to play the pop game of like, yeah, I'll just sell out just for a big radio hit. She kind of has sort of stayed a little bit more on the margins. But anyway, this album was supposed to be kind of a post 9/11 travelogue of a story of a woman who takes a trip across the United States and stops at different places to sort of witness different scenes. And you can see that as a great conceit for kind of constructing a concept album like this. And for the most part, it works. I think that the first song, Amber Waves, is sort of a reference of to the sort of song where America mentions the amber waves of grain, but it also now references Amber Waves, the character from the Boogie Nights movie, who is a stripper. So there are kind of some different like levels of connectivity to these things, and the song talks more about it as a character than sometimes when she performs it live, she'll use some of the song of the original song America when she plays it. But all of these songs are kind of about people or places, whether they be sort of Native American or women who are in like bad relationships. The sort of fairy tale is kind of that type of a song. Women who are sort of examining their relationships with people that they're involved with. Wampa Prayer is sort of about Native Americans having their land taken from them. Don't Make Me Come to Vegas. She did say later on that Taxi Ride was sort of about the makeup artist Kevin Aucoin, and how when he died, she felt like there was nobody there really like helping him through his personal problems. The song I Can't See New York kind of comes across as a song that's post 9/11 and sort of like looking at New York City, but not being able to see it through the smoke and all, like it's been attacked or something. She wrote that actually several months before the attacks happened. So kind of the irony of that. One of my favorite songs on here has to be the last track, Gold Dust, which is a beautiful sort of orchestral number, very dark and haunting. And she would use that as a springboard for another album she would do later called Gold Dust, that was all orchestral versions of certain songs that she had come up with. So sometimes you even find, I don't know if this one has it, but you'll even see like versions of the album that will be accompanied by a map that sort of show like an American journey of the places that she stopped, and then like Polaroids that sort of symbolize like those same locations and whatnot. And I do love this cover shot. I think it's sort of like it could be anywhere in the central part of the country, prairies and whatever. So, and the back shot too is really great. So, it's one of her better albums, I think. And she'd done a bunch of stuff that had more kind of synthesizers and samplers and computers on the previous couple of albums. And this was a conscious effort to go back to traditional piano. I'm going to put away the harpsichord for a little while and do a little more sort of traditional kind of, to become more acoustically based, to go along with the subject matter. And I think it worked for the most part. It has a very 70s FM vibe to it. So anyway, that's my recommend for this week. Tori Amos, Scarlet's Walk. And I don't know how much that album gets talked about these days. I feel like, there's so much kind of emphasis on other great female singer-songwriters. Fiona Apple. There's a fair bit talk about Amy Mann. But Tori Amos Kate Bush, obviously. Tori Amos gets a little bit sort of lost in the shuffle sometimes. So reading that review the other day sort of triggered, oh yeah, let me talk about this. So great. Thank you so much. And I hope you guys have a great week. And I'll see you next week, the 25th. Next week, Talking Heads box set of more songs about buildings and food, expanded versions. Also, the new Tyler Childers, and also Alice Cooper and his first album back with all the original people in decades, and supposedly Beck reissue of Mellow Gold, and Mazzy Star, 2 reissues, She Hangs Brightly and Among My Swans. So those will all probably be in the video. So anyway, hope you're having a great summer. Thanks. Peace, guys. See you next time. Take care.